Welcome to Ialysos on Rhodes, where on this cloudy day, we leave the sun and beaches behind for a moment. And this beautiful church marks the starting point of a journey into history to a medieval relic once found in the Filerimos Monastery. The sanctuary is easily reached by bus, but we opt for a 2-hour historical walking route through nature, past the remains of buildings that are sometimes even older than classical antiquity on our way to a mysterious Marian icon with a true knight's story surrounding it. As we enjoy the tranquility of the climb, we quickly discover that we're hiking through a rich history on the hill that was home to the Acropolis of the Dorian city-state of Ialysos. This history is already seen just outside the Acropolis grounds, when we pass the remains of a Doric fountain from the 4th century BC. Consider that we are walking through the area of one of the 3 cities mentioned by Homer in his Iliad around 800 BC as the place where the Rhodians lived long before the city of Rhodes itself was founded around 407 BC. While we are greeted by pheasants as we arrive at the plateau of the Acropolis, we look down on the foundations of a temple dedicated to Athena and Zeus, which was first archaeologically investigated in 1876. On this plateau, the stones breathe centuries of age, as we are surrounded not only by Doric and Greek ruins, but also remains of castle walls and Christian shrines. In the 5th century, the new Christian religion arrived here when a basilica of Our Lady was built, on top of the old temple of Athena, of which now only the cross-shaped baptismal font remains. This transition marked a profound change, from pagan worship of the Greek gods to Christian devotion on exactly the same sacred ground. Next to its religious function, also the remains of a true medieval castle can be found in the south of the complex, built here by the Knights Hospitaller during their rule over Rhodes between 1309 and 1522. The relatively well-preserved sections of walls and fortifications were restored by the Italians during their rule over Rhodes between 1912 and 1943. The Knights Hospitaller also bring us to the remarkable story of how the Filerimos complex earned its name, because when they conquered Rhodes, they found a 12th century icon of Mary in this church, which they took with them. Since then, the small Byzantine painting of the patron saint of the order has been venerated as Our Lady of Philermos and made a fascinating journey through history. After the fall of the Knights of Rhodes in 1522, it was smuggled to Malta via Italy and then moved to Russia when the French invaded Malta in 1798, where the icon was given its richly decorated gold covering, called a riza. Via Denmark and Belgrade, it was smuggled to Montenegro after the Russian Revolution, where it still attracts many visitors today. And in one of the darkest rooms of this monastery, a replica can now be admired, restoring the holy icon to its original place. This also brings us to the most beautiful part of the Byzantine complex, which was transformed into a Catholic Gothic monastery in the 14th century, today's Panagia Filerimos. This part, too, regained its fairy tale-like medieval appearance during the Italian Restoration, which takes us back to a time when the monastery was an oasis of tranquility surrounded by nature. The restoration was completed in 1934 with the construction of the Via Dolorosa, the road to martyrdom, by architect Rodolfo Petracco. Step by step, you pass 14 copper Passion of Christ statues on your way to a magnificent view of the Aegean Sea all the way to Turkey. The road is also called the Way of Golgotha, after the place just outside the walls of Jerusalem where Jesus was crucified. And if you know that, it's easy to understand why the magnificent view is topped off with an 18-meter-high hollow concrete cross, which you can sometime climb up for an even more stunning view. Filerimos is not a single place. It is a layered past, a mosaic of civilizations: Dorian, Byzantine, medieval, and modern. Every stone, every path, every view bears the marks of generations. Climbing this hill, you walk through thousands of years. You look back to temples, prayers, crosses, knights, faith, and hope. Filerimos is more than a ruin or a monastery. It is a living memory of history and a recommended visit if you want to escape the heat of the beaches for a day in the cool hills. Or, of course, if you simply love pheasants.